All right, let's forget about code and processing power for just a minute. Today, we're going to look at AI through a much darker, much more philosophical lens. We're going to unpack a pretty radical and frankly chilling perspective on how AI is already splitting society in two, and we're bringing in some heavy hitters to help us, the thinkers Michel Foucault and Friedrich Nietzsche.
I want to start with a number. That's it, 99%. Just keep that number in your head for a second. What on earth could it represent? Well, the answer is really at the heart of everything we're about to talk about.
And here it is, the core claim that's tied to that number. It's a bold, provocative statement. And the argument is that this isn't some sci-fi prediction for the year 2050. This is an observation of what's happening right now. So, how could that possibly be true? Let's unpack the logic. Okay, so this whole argument doesn't start with some futuristic fantasy. It actually starts with a very old, very well-known statistical model, the bell curve. You've probably seen this before. For centuries, our whole society, our jobs, our education has been built around this bell curve of human intelligence. But the core argument here is that AI has now completely surpassed the entire middle section of this curve. All of a sudden, the average intelligence that powered our entire modern world is becoming, well, obsolete. Now, if that's really happening, you'd expect to see some panic, right? Riots in the streets. But we don't. It's quiet. To understand this quiet acceptance of such a massive shift, we've got to turn to our first philosopher, Michel Foucault. Foucault had this concept he called biopolitics. And the basic idea is that our systems, schools, corporations, you name it, they were never really designed to create a world full of critical thinkers and philosophers. Nope, they were designed to produce a stable, predictable population. You know, good workers and good consumers. So from this point of view, mass mediocrity isn't a failure of the system, it's the system working perfectly. And this table shows the evolution of that control just perfectly. We've shifted from the old school discipline of the factory line to what the source calls a new sedation. See, AI and algorithms don't need to use force. They just lull us with convenience and little hits of dopamine, turning our once docile bodies into docile brains. And this is the really chilling conclusion when you look at it through that Foucauldian lens. It's a system so elegant that the prisoners don't just accept their confinement, they actively love it. They hand over the keys themselves. We are choosing convenience over cognition every single day. So Foucault kind of explains how this is all happening without a big fight, but to really understand why so many of us are so willing to surrender our own thinking, we need to bring in Friedrich Nietzsche. More than a century ago, Nietzsche predicted the arrival of a type of person he called the last man. And this is basically someone who values comfort and safety above everything else. They avoid risk, they hate difficult questions, and all they want is a life of pleasant, predictable ease. You know, deep, challenging thought, that can be painful. And the last man wants absolutely no part of it. And here's where AI slots in perfectly to Nietzsche's prophecy. It has become the ultimate nanny for the last man. It takes the big, complex, messy reality of the world, predigests it, and then feeds it back to us in these simple, comforting little information pacifiers. And that leads us to this really crucial distinction. This is not a story of conquest by AI. It's a story of a willing, grateful surrender to AI. We are happily, voluntarily outsourcing the burden of choice, of interpretation, and of critical thought to the nearest algorithm. So what's the end result of this great outsourcing? Well, it creates a new fault line that runs right through society. And this one isn't about wealth or class in the ways we're used to thinking about them. It's about your fundamental relationship to technology. The source calls this ontological segregation. Now, that's a pretty heavy term, but it describes a really simple idea. A separation based purely on your state of being. It's a deep divide between those who tell AI what to do and those who are told what to do by AI. This table just breaks down that new divide perfectly. On one side, you have the prompted. That's our 99%. They are passive, they use AI to get easy answers and to find comfort. And ultimately, they are managed by the system. But on the other side, you have the prompter, the 1%. They are active, they use AI to ask hard questions and to seek real understanding. They are the ones who design the system. So if this new divide is real, what's the response? What do we do? And this is where the analysis gets really, really interesting. It's not a call to action to go save the 99%. It's about defining a whole new path for the individual. The proposed mindset is something Nietzsche called the pathos of distance. Think of it as an almost Zen-like state of accepting this new reality without getting angry or developing a messiah complex. It's about viewing that bell curve not as a social problem that you have to solve, but as something more like a law of nature.
So the path forward for someone who wants to be a prompter is a kind of four-step process. First, you just observe. You see the system for exactly what it is. Second, you accept that you can't force anyone else to wake up. Third, you leverage this incredibly powerful tool for your own goals. And finally, and most importantly, you create. You use it to ask the big, weird human questions that AI itself simply cannot. Because here's the crucial point. This is AI's fatal flaw. For all of its unbelievable knowledge and its incredible processing power, AI has no will of its own. It has no soul. It has no spark of desire. It is never going to wake up one morning and decide all by itself that it wants to explore the connection between Foucault and modern geopolitics. And that leads to this final, powerful metaphor. If you are one of the people who chooses to ask, to create, to direct, then AI isn't your replacement, it's your super exoskeleton. It is an unmatched tool to amplify your will, your curiosity, and your own personal intent.
Which leaves us with this final thought to chew on. As AI becomes capable of answering almost any question we can possibly think of, maybe the most uniquely human and the most valuable skill left is just the ability to formulate a truly original question. What do you think?